G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited doing an actual Iggy Scorch hero guide. I've been having so much fun since the patch came out playing Iggy, absolutely demolishing, not really demolishing the enemy team, not getting super high amounts of kills, getting quite a few assists, but the main reason why I'm loving him again is holding my tier 1 mid lane tower till 45 minutes. So we're going to get into the building guide, so I hope you like it. Here we go. Alright, Iggy Scorch is a ranged Fury corruption hero. He's a zoner, sieger, and he's elusive, sort of. He has a 3 for basic attack power, 7 for ability attack power, 3 for durability, and 5 for mobility. Okay, looking at his actual stats. He starts with 500 health, gets 67.4 per level to end up on 1443. He gets 1.25 mana regen to start off with. That ends up at 4.05. He has 280 mana at the start, which ends up at 1232, standard for all the casters. He has 1.3 mana regen, which ends up at 5.08. And as a caster, he starts with 8 basic armor, ends up on 22. And like everybody else, he has 20 ability armor that ends up at 30.5. Okay, taking a look at his basic attack, which is called Molotov. Ranged basic attack that deals basic attack damage and leaves a pool of fire on the ground where it lands that applies burn to enemies that touch it. The Molotov will also ignite any oil patches it hits. Basic attack damage starts at 53, he gets 1.6 per level, and it has 0.3 power scaling, which means that for every 100 power on your build, you're going to be getting an extra 30 damage on your basic attack. It has splash damage of 0.1, meaning that anything that gets hit in the splash range, which is kind of like cleave range, takes 10% damage of your basic attack. It's definitely not one of the strongest basic attacks in the game. You're not gonna own a match by using your basic attacks, but it looks freaking awesome and it's very unique. Okay, for the first of his abilities let's talk about Oil Slick. Scorch gains a movement speed bonus and leaves a trail of flammable oil behind him. The trail can be ignited with fire to apply burn. It costs 40 mana flat. The cooldown starts at 18 seconds, ends up at 12 seconds. The duration starts at 2 seconds and ends up at 4. The oil lasts for 10 seconds, and the speed boost is only 100. So it's not a huge speed boost, but it is a flat speed boost now. It's his getaway. It's the only getaway he has. There's nothing super complicated to talk about. Use it to get yourself out of sticky situations, and you can turn around and throw a Molotov at that to ignite it, throw a turret down on it to ignite it and apply burn to enemy players. Next up we have his main ability that you're going to be using, which is called Flame Turret. Iggy throws at a turret that deals ability damage. Turrets have limited fuel and will prioritize targets that Iggy is damaging. So the ability damage starts at 300, ends up at 750. Has a power scaling of 2.5, meaning that for every 100 power you have on your build, you will gain 250 damage over the lifetime of the turret. Okay, the mana cost starts at 55 and ends up at 85. The turret fuel lasts for 10 seconds. Okay, so that means that just doing 750 damage at max level, it does 75 per second. Okay, and the deactivation time is 3 seconds. The recharge time is 15 seconds. The limit to the turrets you can actually have is 1 at level 1, 2 at level 2 and 3, and 3 at level 4. So at max level you can only have 3 turrets out at a time, at which point you will get rid of your first turret when you put out a new turret. They've gotten rid of the pips, which is what makes this actually good now. So the turret health starts at 200. Level 2 it's 350, level 3 it's 500, and level 4 it's 650. So this actually makes it a lot harder for certain heroes to get rid of him. No longer can you have like Sparrow just 5-shot it with a hail of arrows, or the Fae, or people like Morrigash just throw an ability at it and watch it just get destroyed really easily. It lasts a little bit longer. You have to Remember that if you're against someone that's like running a tanky Grux, for example, they're probably doing about 100 damage per hit. It's going to take them 7 hits to get rid of it. They can attack 5 times every 6 seconds. So it's going to take them, it's going to take them 7-8 seconds to actually destroy this, which means that they're taking the brunt of that damage. I love the changes that they've made to the turrets. Because it means that you can actually go back to doing what he's supposed to do, which is defending. Next up we have Oil Spill. Scorch spits out a blob that applies oil, which damages and applies burn when ignited by fire. The damage starts at 80 and ends up at 245, which is really good. The power scaling is only 1.0625, which means that you get, for every 100 power you put on your build, you will get 106.25 damage added to your oil spill. The mana cost starts at 100, ends up at 145, so it is pretty expensive, so you want to make sure that you're only using this when you absolutely have to. Has a cooldown of 8 seconds and a range of 1750. This, when coupled with your turrets, will absolutely decimate a wave of minions, which makes it so much easier to defend your towers. Lastly, we have Flame Belch. Scorch spews flames from its mouth, dealing ability damage over 2.5 seconds and applying burn. At the end of the duration, Scorch belches and enemies in the cone of fire are knocked back. It starts off doing 325 damage, ends up at 575, has a power scaling of 1.5625, which means for every 100 power you're getting 156.25 damage added to it. The mana cost, and just keep in mind that that's over the duration of the 2.5 seconds, that extra damage. The mana cost starts at 100, ends up at 150, not too bad. The cooldown starts at 90, ends up at 60. One thing to keep in mind with the Flame Belch is that you can actually reactivate this to knock people back. I don't think a lot of people actually know that, and you can auto attack while using it. It is actually really good. What you normally want to do is alt and use your speed boost to make sure you stay in front of them and knock them back towards your team members. It can be really good for getting picks, but it does leave you open to getting picked yourself if you're in a bad situation. So that's all of his abilities. The reason why I'm so glad to be doing this is because he's at a point where he can be viable again. I feel like I do pretty well with him. I've played a few matches, and I think the shortest amount of time it took the enemy to take my tier 1 mid lane tower was 34 minutes. The longest was actually nigh on 45 minutes. So that's pretty awesome. I think in one match they'd actually taken 1 or 2 of our tier 2s. They'd taken all of our tier 1s bar my tier 1 in 45 minutes. So he's still good at what he does. He's still not so great at split pushing because of the fact that you're not as tanky as you used to be. You could definitely try a tanky build, and we're going to look at that in an alt build guide. But for now, we'll just go on and have a look at the build that I think is quite good, which is pretty much just a damage build with a little bit of a getaway. And it has an option to build towards shredding armor from tanky heroes. So that's pretty much it on using Iggy. My main suggestions that I would give people is try not to waste your oil spill too much. Try to be very, very aware of the minimap and where everyone is. If all the enemies are missing off of the minimap, be extremely careful, ward often, and pretty much just use him the best you can to defend towers. As a wave is approaching your tower, if it's going to push onto your tower, chuck a turret down, chuck your oil spill on top of the minions as they come into the turret, and then if you have to, put another turret down. And when sieging objectives and your minions are actually going onto the tower, I would throw a turret out just before they get onto the tower, which will mean that the tower will actually aggro onto your turret, making your minions survive a little bit longer, and then throw another one down as the enemy minions enter their tower, and throw an oil spill on top. That'll pretty much take care of the enemy minions, meaning that yours will survive a lot longer. and it's working pretty well lately. People tend to be a little bit more scared of turrets, a little bit more scared of Iggy. They probably shouldn't be, but they are. So hopefully you give this build that I'm about to show you a go and you enjoy using Iggy. Stay safe, defend your towers, and when you can, use him to siege and split push. But that's it, guys. We'll go over and we'll have a look at the build. Oh, but before we do, one other thing. Just keep in mind that his turrets are actually extremely good at zoning. Keep your, in middle team fights, try to keep your positioning towards the back of your enemy heroes unless you're intending to go in and ult and pick someone out. And try to actually put your turrets, if you're winning a team fight, try to put your turrets just behind the enemy heroes, which means that as they back up, they're taking damage, which may force them forward, or they'll go through it and cop damage. If you think you're losing the team fight, try to put your turrets in between the enemy and friendly heroes, and as you're taking off, just drop turrets down so that people are having to run through them on the way to chasing you guys, and you should do alright. He's a lovely hero, and he needs to come back, guys. Alright, so let's go over to the build. Alright guys, here we are over on the Paragon website, on the deck builder, and we have Dragon's Breath, which I did do the other day, but we're going to have to redo everything post version 40, I feel like. Pretty much all my builds are going to be getting reworked. So, with that said, I take the Centurion. I know he is a caster, and you can get a lot of benefit from running the Archmagus, but we want that extra health on Iggy. He needs a little bit of health. And you're not really getting that much of a benefit from the 30 power. It's going to be pretty negligible, as you'll see pretty soon. So I take a health potion and a healer token for my early game cards at the start of the game. There is no dummy ward in this build, unfortunately, so what I normally try to do is get someone to ward for me. I only play Iggy with friends because I feel like you need a competent team behind you. We have a Hate Spitter with 3 basic sparks or chronos, no discrimination here. We have a Guardian's Ward with 3 greater healths, and we have a bunch of Shadow Scrolls. So the first one has a... Christ, I've done it again, haven't I? It's a Pierce. Is it a Pierce? It's a Shock. Such a retard. Okay, so we have one with a Major Shock and 2 strikes or casts. We have another one with a Major Shock, a Minor Cast, and a Cast. We have another one with a Minor Cast, and a Major Cast, which is that one there. We have another one with 3 minor casts, which is just an early game card. We have another one with a minor shock, a shock, and a major shock. And we'll get into the reason why there's so many in a minute. We have a Fire Piercer with 2 basic sparks and a spark or chronos. We have a Blink Shot with 3 major strikes and a Nanoplasm. Okay, so we'll go over to the test build section and I'll show you why there is all this garbage in my build. Okay, now first of all, there has been a lot of talk lately that Nanoplasm is absolutely crap on Iggy Scorch, but if we quickly get rid of this healer token for a second, health potion I said, and go and have a look. The only other options for him that I would run is health regen, but if you take a look, the only health regen card at the moment is Stablink, and we do not want to run Stablink on Iggy because if you are using the Blink Shot, chances are you're actually using it to get away, and I know it has a really long cooldown if you don't get a kill afterwards, but I tend to find that it works for me. So you can use a Blink Charm instead, but I just like the fact that I can slot power on it. And if we do get a kill, we then at least have the option to actually get out. So considering he has no health regen, that is why I run Nanoplasm, okay? It does the job of any form of health regen, okay? It's not gonna, it's not gonna be like running Murdoch and hitting 600s and, keeping your health up against a fighter. It's not gonna be that great, but it will give you some sustain, so that is why it's in the build. And I forgot to put my health potion back on. Health potion? Done. Okay, so the way you're going to build this deck is you're going to start off with your health potion, your healer token, okay? Very easy. The next card we want to get this Guardian's Ward, because people are going to be trying to kill you. You need vision. From there we go into a Hate Spitter. Okay, and then after that we grab our very cheap Shadow Scroll. Now from here we're going to have to make sure that we know which build we're actually going for. Before we get into that though, this health on here and the blink shot, I will leave it entirely up to you when we get it. For the purpose of this video, the blink shot's probably going to be the last thing we put on, but you can put it on at any point. If your team is doing really well on siege and you've got them pushed back early, then you're probably going to want to get blink shot earlier. So that's entirely up to you when you grab that. Okay, so now we have one spot left before we have to get rid of something. Okay, so I would recommend going for the most expensive Shadow Scroll. That is always on our build. But now we definitely have to decide whether we're running the Fire Piercer build or if we're not. Okay, the Fire Piercer build is for, let's just say you have like a tanky Greystone offlane and a tanky jungler. You want to go for the Fire Piercer. It's going to help your team out in some team fights, because it's going to, for 10 seconds, your next basic attack on an enemy hero will shred 45% of their ability armor. So this becomes more potent the more armor someone has. Okay, it's pretty much useless against a carry, because a carry will have 30.5 ability armor and we're going to have 30 pen anyway. Okay, so it's not useful in those scenarios. So if they have, say, a Seraph jungling, and they have, say, like a Bellica offlane, and they have FaZe as a support, there's going to be no tank on that team. So you definitely don't want to take this because it's going to be a wasted card. Okay, but let's just say, for instance, we are going up against one of those teams. You'll get rid of your health potion, and you'll grab your Fire Piercer. You max that out. And then, because you have your mana regen on here now, you can get rid of your Hate Spitter. Okay, and because we are running the Fire Piercer, we are not going to be running two other cards. We're not going to be running this card, and we're not going to be running this card. Okay, that's for our other build. So we're going to slot in this Shadow Scroll here, which is just all pen. Okay, so we're at 36 pen right now. We're going to get rid of our cheap Shadow Scroll when we do that, so we just sit at 30 pen. Okay, and now you can get your blink shot, you can get rid of your healer token, and you can get your nanoplasm. As I said, you do these whenever you want. Okay, and then you slot out this whenever you feel like you need it. Now, there is a lot of talk that nanoplasm is a load of shit, but there is really no other options for any good health regen, so we're taking that anyway. Okay, so this is the build if you're running Fire Piercer. Alright, so you have your Guardian's Ward, 3 greater health, your Shadow Scroll with a major... We just went through this before. I'm not even going to say what it is. A major thingy for the ability pen thingy, and 2 strikes. A Shadow Scroll with all our pen, Fire Piercer, Blink Shot, Nanoplasm. Okay, you're going to end up on 108 power, 30 pen, over 2100 health, and minimal stats down here. Okay, so if we take a look at it, your flame turret is going to hit 1020, your oil spill is going to hit 359, your flame belch is going to hit 743. Okay, so keep in mind those numbers. Okay, 1020, 360, 743. Okay, now I won't go through the way that you build this. If you're not building Fire Piercer, all I will do is just show you that the major difference is that obviously you're not using Fire Piercer, you're not using this Shadow Scroll. Instead, you are using this Shadow Scroll with the other major shock. I think it's a shock. Christ. And you're using this one with no pen on it whatsoever, because you're getting the 6 off of the card itself. That way you will be sitting on 168 power, 30 pen, same amount of health. You won't have the mana regen though, but it was pretty minimal to begin with. So then from here you will be hitting 1170, so really not that much, and you've got to keep in mind that if you are running these, okay, you're hitting 1020 compared to 1170. That's 150 damage over 10 seconds. Okay, that's 15 per second. That's nothing. It's really nothing to worry about. Okay, your oil spill was at, I think, 347. So it's now 423, so it's pretty minimal difference. And your flame belch, it's about an extra 90. Okay, so using the fire piercer is not actually a detriment to the damage that you can do. It's pretty minimal. It just means that when you're using the fire piercer build against a couple of tanky heroes, you can really make a difference. The way that I use it is that I try to activate it, alt, and then auto attack someone straight away, or you can auto attack first if you like. Just keep in mind you can auto attack while you're alting, so it means that you're shredding all that armor. If someone's chasing you through a bunch of your turrets, you can just quickly activate it and attack them and shred a lot more of their armor, and it actually works pretty well. Okay, so that's the build, guys. As I said, the link will be in the description down below. I hope you like it. I'm sure there's not too many people that are going to be super interested in trying Iggy, but we need to bring him back. He needs to come back. He has always been good at what he does, and now it's a little bit easier for him to do so. And as you've seen in the footage that I posted, you can hold a mid lane tower with no damage taken up to 45 minutes into the game, which, how many other heroes can you say that you've done that with? Okay, so that's the build, that's the guide. I hope you liked it. If you did like it in any way, shape, or form, please smash the like button, leave me a comment, and let me know what you think. Subscribe for more Paragon content. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.